wake up!
World, wake up!
World, wake up!
Russia is a terrorist state!
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 Stop Russia, stop the war!
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 My friends, as always, we have a limited time to send a message to everybody around the world on this topic. But this is a matter that everybody should be informed about. A matter that involves the future, not only of Ukraine, not only of Europe, but of the whole world. This is a matter that everybody needs to know of. Because Ukraine, that country that gave up the most for world peace, that gave up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, in the biggest nuclear demilitarization in human history, is now being attacked by the country that has violated their agreement to not attack Ukraine when it gives up its weapons, when it gives up its arms, and leaves itself open for the will of the international community. And alas, we can see now that the international community has proven itself to be toothless, useless, incapable of stopping regimes who just decide to break agreements when it suits them short term. And if that happens, my friends, what does that speak about the future of humanity? About the possibility of mankind to make agreements with each other, to come to peaceful solutions. This war has not only killed peace in Ukraine, it's killing the perspective of peace with every single day that goes by all over the world. Because with every day that Russia remains unpunished, this terrible precedent of the Russians breaking agreements and getting away with them continues to endure. The world needs to stand together at last, with no bickering, no discussing about these silly excuses. Oh, but Ukraine has corruption. Funny that. Ukraine had corruption when Ukraine gave up their nuclear arsenal, and yet it was encouraged to do so. So what happened? The corruption was not noticeable back then. When the Ukrainians are giving up something they have, they're not corrupt. But when they ask for something promised to them, all of a sudden people's eyes open and they can see corruption all over the place. What kind of injustice is that? What kind of logic is that, my friends? That is a self-serving logic. Truly illogical long term, because it will hurt everybody who speaks against Ukraine now. All of these Tucker Carlsons and Mike Johnsons and Viktor Orbans and Ficos, all of these individuals, every single one of them will pay the price for this betrayal of Western values, of the future of mankind. This promise made to the Ukrainian people many times over, especially in the Budapest Memorandum, where they have committed the greatest sacrifice in human history for world peace. And what did they get in return? Empty promises and lies and excuses from the international community. Oh no, we can't help you, we have a bad economic situation. Oh, we have a homeless problem, we can't send you weapons. Because of course, all of those shells and bullets, they will be much better sent off to the homeless of every country that was supposed to be sending them to Ukraine. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? My friends, There are no words to describe the deviousness and insanity that is being spread right now by these shills, Russophiles, and apologists who speak against Ukraine. No words are enough to explain this. I would encourage the people here to watch some of the popular interviews done with the pro-Putin Russians near the Russian embassy not so long ago. Some of those videos went viral of pro-Putin Russians being asked why they support Putin. And the answer is universal. Or rather, the lack of an answer is indeed universal. Why do you support Putin? Because I support Putin. Why do you support Putin? Because he's right. Why is he right? And that's it. That's all I have to say. In fact, my friends, me and some people here in this rally right now, we have first-hand experience of these idiotic individuals because we were there and we have done some of these interviews also. It's a good watch. I would encourage anyone to watch them. One individual was very interesting in particular. I asked her in English, why is she going to vote for Putin? She replies to me in Russian. And she starts asking me why I'm not speaking Russian to her. Now that's interesting. Another individual looked at me, listened to my questions, and answered in Russian, oh, Ukrainian face. Which is hilarious. Because Putin himself has wrongfully claimed that we are supposedly the same people. But it seems like the Russians themselves, the Russians who support Putin, they use some of Putin's self-contradictory rhetoric when it suits them. And they use other parts of his self-contradictory rhetoric when it suits them more. And when you put these two arguments together, they do not stand up to scrutiny. They do not. Even the minutest criticism, the minutest critique makes them collapse into themselves. That, my friends, is what our opposition is. It's not skilled. It's not good. It doesn't have good points. In fact, we have challenged them many times over to speak to us and to prove us their points. And they have consistently failed to do so. Every single time. The real problem, my friends, are not these idiots who say we vote for Putin because we love him. Why do you love him? Because he's right. Why is he right? Oh. These are not the crux of the question. Exactly. The main issue are not these insane individuals. The main issue is this supposed Ukraine fatigue that we have nowadays. What is that? What have people gotten desensitized to see blood, to see death, to see destruction? People lost interest or something. Is it not entertaining enough? Perhaps people would be more entertained if this was happening not on their television, but in their neighborhood. Would that be more entertaining? To find your neighbor in a puddle of blood, to find your son disfigured into pieces by the Russian shells. Is that what's going to bring back the feeling of the people, the feeling of pity, and most importantly, the feeling of responsibility for the promises of the past, unkept even now? Sure, some countries are helping Ukraine more than others. And this country is one of the countries that helps Ukraine the most, because the people of this country remember. And yet, there are still those who claim that Ukraine is not a concern of the British people. Individuals like Jeremy Corbyn, individuals like George Galloway, who shake hands with terrorists and claim that the promises that the United Kingdom has made in the past do not have to be kept. In fact, they act as if promises to the USSR that never happened in the first place need to be respected, but promises to the Ukrainian people that were made and ratified by this country, among many others, should not be respected. That, my friends, is one of many occasions of pure betrayal of this country that we can see. A betrayal of the British values, a betrayal of the British culture, a betrayal of British interests. That is what individuals like Jeremy Corbyn and George Galloway do on a daily basis. The very fact that they were ever allowed in the House of Commons, in this honorable parliament, is an atrocity against this country, an affront against its future. Let no one forget about that. Sympathies to terrorism, racism, anti-Semitism, these things must not be tolerated by any country. And yet, still, we tolerate these individuals, although these individuals do not tolerate us. Now, if anything, that is a self-destructive ideal, my friends. And that is something that needs to change at long last. Слава Україні! Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
And now, my friends, we will have a short musical break.